Is it luck, talent, timing? What creates the perfect storm of all good things in rock and roll? We talked to John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. They have a brand new album out. We'll tell you about it on Rock History Music. They were a bar band in the early 80s, working really, really hard, putting everything they had into every single show. And that's why when people say, were they lucky that a movie guy came in and saw them play? The band didn't even know he was there and walked out, and all of a sudden they got to do the soundtrack for this. Eddie and the Cruisers, On the Dark Side, Tender Years. You've heard me say this before. John Lodge of the Moody Blues says he doesn't believe in luck, but he believes that if luck strikes him, he's going to be ready. And that's a good thing, and that's kind of what John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band were. That movie guy came in, but they were good. Luck, talent, and a lot more we talk about on the dark side, Eddie and the Cruisers, the brand new album from the band, John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band on Rock History Music. What's your take on luck?
That is the old saying that, luck is preparation meets opportunity. But, for a band like mine, we were a bar band for almost a dozen years. Playing in New York City. We're from Rhode Island, but we were playing in New York City one night. Guy walking down Bleecker Street, heard the sound of the music coming out of the bitter end. Came in, watched us. Kenny Vance, we've talked about him before, who was our producer. It came in and watched us, get up and left. Never even knew he was there. Year later, he finds a script. Eddie and the Cruisers says to the director, I think I know this band, I think they're from Rhode Island. And reached out to us, and it led to everything that it led to. But he just sort of happened to be walking down the street, and we were, we weren't auditioning for him. I mean, we were just playing, and we were playing good because that's what we wanted to do. Our goal wasn't to. Our goal was never to impress. Our goal was always to share. There was a joy that we got from the music that we knew that if we did it right, it would lift people's hearts and in turn lift our own. And because that's what would happen to me. If I would go see somebody play and they knew how to do it, and they just let the music do what the music does. I would be so inspired by that. And I knew that my band and the guys in my band have that ability, to put their egos aside and just get out of the way and let the music do what it does. And, it's a joyous thing. It really is. I mean, it's magical to watch. It really is. I don't know why it happens, but, especially if you have a couple of hit records, I mean, it gets really funny because, we'll be anywhere USA, and Rich will start tinkling those notes and On the Dark Side, and all of a sudden, like, the whole room changes, everything changes. But very fun.
The dark side to me is like a perfect storm of everything going right, just like everything, not only the hard work, maybe some luck, I don't know, but there's just that, for a song to stand the test of time, cliche as that might sound, there's just nothing wrong with that song. It's just, to me, that's a perfect rockin' tune. Is there a part of you that can separate it all because you're so close to that song?
I mean, that song just took the magic carpet ride. I mean, I wrote it, and I still don't know how that happened. We never really, it was a song that we were trying to write a skit for a scene in a movie. We were even really trying to write a complete song. It said classical piano part over the intro, and goes into a classic rock guitar riff, and it's called On the Dark Side. By the way, it's a big hit record. It's like, so, we put together that skit and went into the recording studio and recorded it, and it came out, didn't do anything, Movie came out, didn't do anything. They put it on cable television. Kids heard it. All of a sudden, radio started playing it. Sold 1 million records in a month. And to this day, they're still playing it, which is many, many moons later. But it just, I mean, I don't know. If I knew how it happened, I would have wrote 40 more.
How old are some of these songs? Are they all new? Tell me about it.
Well, it's been quite a while since we recorded, since we got in the studio. We had that great opportunity in the '80s to make records and had some hits that they still play on a lot of classic rock formats to this day. Um, Very grateful for that. But music changes, styles change, trends change, and when that happened with us in the mid '80s, I mean, we were just sort of out of the record business, but we weren't done being musicians. We went back to doing what we did before, which was on a Saturday night we'd be in a crowded room, we count to four, and the dance floor would fill up, and hearts are lifted and smiles, and so that's what we did. So we never stopped. We just were out of the record business. So in the interim, we were playing, and a lot of songs were written, just never recorded. Or if they were recorded, they never got past like a demo stage. But I always had in the back of my mind, one day, someday, we're gonna make a record. But at this age, it's like speak now or forever hold your peace. So it was Gary and I just got together and we started fooling around with some new ideas. And next thing I knew, I was writing all new songs. I wasn't relying on those songs that were written in the interim. I just new ideas came, and I'm glad they did. Because they speak more to what I was thinking about now.
So all these 13 songs are like recently written?
I would say 11 that made it on the album. There were a bunch more that didn't make it on the album that we recorded, but they were either the themes were repetitive, or the music was it, it it made the album too long.
Mhm.
The album's long. It's a long ride as it is. So you got to take, but best heard, driving in the car, with an hour of open road out in front of your windshield, and let the songs tell you a story. And but the other songs made the record too long, so I pulled out a few, and then I pulled out a few more. But we're really proud of what we came up with, because it's very representative of who we've always been.
Remember when Roger Daltrey a few years ago said, "Oh, I don't want to record new music. People don't listen to that." And I'm going, "Well, that's one way of looking at it, but the other side is, weren't you put on this planet to play and to create music? Don't lose that second part. That second part's really important to, as people say, purpose. Having a purpose of putting these out there. What's your take on that? At your age, you have done an awful lot and you're still doing it. Does that not check into that 16-year-old, a 13-year-old kid inside of you and get those spark plugs?
Like I said, we didn't stop playing, so we still had that communication with an audience that we could see face to face, just like when we started when we were kids, and all the way through the 10 years of being a bar band before we made records. So we still had that communication. So if I wrote a song and I tested it out on a Saturday night, and there was still that connection there. The music business and the record business and the life of a musician don't always necessarily mean the same thing. We were out of sync with the music business. We were just we didn't have a record deal. We didn't have the money to make records. The technology wasn't quite there to support us being able to record in the way that we had been in the past, it used to cost a lot of money to go into a recording studio. So, I mean, that was out of the question for us. Technology caught up so that you didn't have to go in a recording studio to capture some of your ideas in a way that is reminiscent of your heyday. So, um, and I think the idea of getting to a certain age, and I'm sort of like looking back at the life that I've lived, and I see it. I don't see it in terms of gold records or hit records, or I see it in terms of it's a life that I chose. I got to live the life that I chose. Every day I woke up and I knew I was a guitar player and a songwriter, and I had a purpose, and I had a beautiful job. I mean, think about it. It's like I not only get to put a smile on people's faces on a daily basis, but every 5 minutes they clap and tell you that you're really good. So that's nice to get a round of applause. But I that's what I see, and very grateful for that. And I also see my life in fragments. I'm just there's glimpses of things as I look over my shoulder, and and the record, it's like a character. The character sort of weaves out of being. Personal glimpse of people, maybe their lives that happened around me, or just like a compilation of all of those things. And in one song I'm 30, in another song I'm 13, another song I'm 64. And I'm looking back at a life that, and the story isn't told sequentially. It's told kind of like the way that I think, I just memories of different things that happened at different times, and feelings that just sort of stuck with me all these years. And that's kind of what the album was. I didn't really realize it until I finished it, and I look back and I was like, there is like a thread that runs through this whole thing. And but as you're doing it, you're kind of just writing songs. You're writing songs, and there were bits and pieces of things that came up, little fragments of lyrical ideas or musical ideas that came up that reoccurred throughout the record, and I was going to change them. I was going to, like, well, maybe I should rewrite that line or rewrite this line because I got it over here in this other song. But then I said, I kind of like that. It kind of like sort of brings everything together for me. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Gary Gramellini, our guitar player of 50 years, and myself, I mean, we produced the record. And to be honest with you, we had so much fun making it. And, the goal at the end of it was just to make it exist. Once we got to this point, we weren't really sure what happens after that, because like I said, we've been out of the record business for a long time. So we're just, trying to get the word out that we made it, and we got a lot of friends and fans and family that need to know about it. So, that's what we're doing.
What were you listening to when you were 16?
I always loved American music. I always loved the sounds that were coming out of New York, like all the girl group stuff, like the Brill Building.
I was about to say Brill Building, yeah.
Yeah, I always loved all of that, and and I loved the Beach Boys, and there's a connection there because the whole Wall of Sound with Phil Spector was an understudy for Lieber and Stoller, and then went to California, and Brian Wilson worked with all the Wrecking Crew and all the people who made the Phil Spector records. So that sound was East Coast, West Coast, and I always loved that. And then what came back from Europe. It came back from England, with a British accent. It was an echo of all of that stuff that we grew up with. The Beatles, echoed the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and all of that, and Elvis and the and and also they were songwriters not unlike the songwriters at the Brill Building. They even covered a lot of that stuff when they did cover songs. So I mean, that's kind of what I was listening to when I was around that age. I always loved Detroit too, Mitch Ryder, Detroit Wheels, all the Motown stuff, just unbelievable.
Palisades, great opener. That tune.
Thanks for saying.
Well, when I listen, well, I like sequencing. I'm a big fan. I'm glad you kept the sequence. See, I like musical sequencing and I like concept albums too, but musical sequencing, the hills and valleys. There's a song like that. No, there's another song like that. No, we've got to push that back. The nice hills and valleys and the feelings as well. Not only the tempos, but Palisades. Tell me about that tune. Great song. Just overall, just I love it.
Oh, thanks for saying it. You're very kind. Palisades, I thought it was a very welcoming sounding song for the record. It wasn't the hardest hitting one, but it just had a feeling to it. It was very welcoming, musically. And lyrically, it's about sort of reconnecting with the idea that I want to dream on. I want this to keep going. Reconnecting with that feeling that I had, many many years ago. Myself as an artist, myself and my beautiful wife Terry Lee as a couple. You know, we had moved to California early on, early '80s, and it was before that movie came out, that Eddie and the Cruisers movie came out. So there was like a little pause in the action there. It was like it's been a workaholic working in this band for 12 years, and then we made a film. I didn't make any money from it, but I made enough money to like just take a break from the band for just a little bit. And I wanted to go out to California, and my wife went out there to study photography, and I just had to discover, like if this was my life. I mean, at one point, rock and roll is your life, but at another point, it's like your life is your life, and rock and roll is your job. It's a great job. Don't get me wrong. I love every minute of it, but it's not my life. It's not it's part of who I am, but it's not. It's not everything. My life is my life, and I needed to find my life, and I was very blessed that I found my soulmate very early on, and we've been together many 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 years, brought up a beautiful family. So Palisades, that's just a long way of saying that Palisades is about rediscovering that feeling of youth and dreaming on, and just sort of reconnecting with that. And I just remember driving up the PCH in California. It was all brand new to me, and just getting in the car and seeing the Santa Monica Pier on one side and the ocean, and just it was just a period of wonder for us. It was our adventure.
Yeah, Day in the Sun is a song that's welcomed.
But thank you for saying. That song is, believe it or not, has already been in a movie. I mean, we've had so many songs in films, but
What movie
the
was it in?
Farrelly brothers are from Rhode Island. So rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, but that's what they say. They used to come sneak in to see us when they were kids, when we were playing in the clubs. And but they've been good friends over the years. And Peter Farrelly had a movie called Ricky Stenicki that he was working on in Australia with Zac Efron and John Cena, and asked if I had anything new. And I was working on the album, and I had a version of Day in the Sun done. I hadn't finished even writing the songs for the record, but so I sent it. They liked it. They used like 3.5 minutes over the end credits, so got a big spot. Yeah. And it
Good for
comes
you.
roaring out of the speakers just like it was, a big hit record. I mean, it was something.
The boppin' tune, Blue California. To me, I'm going, and again, sound sequencing. It's perfect. That guitar riff on that song, turn the radio up. Tell me about that song.
Well, as you know, we're a band that wears their influence on their sleeve. We not only, um, we want to pay tribute to the music that inspired us, to pick up the instruments in the first place. And also, leave a trail so that the people who come after us can find where this music came from. If they like what we did, then they can hear what we liked a little bit through what we leave behind. And Blue California's got that Motown, sort of like groove to it, underneath. I mean, that James Jamerson sort of bass part, and it just got that, just got a great Motown feel under it. And, California always, in my life and, being an East Coast guy, always that wonder of going out there and finding something new and exciting that you didn't know about. And part of the great American adventure, the great American dream, it was a representation of that. My son Shane is out there now pursuing a career in writing and acting and being a comedian and all of that. And he's doing really well out there.
Does he go by Shane Cafferty?
He does, yeah. Yeah, he's up and coming, but he's doing real well. I mean, he also has an MBA, so he's a well-educated comedian. So, but California represented that in a way, and that it's musically. I mean, it goes from that Motown thing into almost like a Southern rock thing, because Gary's like most people when they think of my band, they think of Tunes playing on the sax, because he's such an incredible sax player. But Gary's also a virtuoso on the guitar and has the history of rock and roll at his fingertips. So he just went into this incredible, sort of like California Southern rock jam band kind of solo at the end of a Motown song, which is great. It reminds me of and it doesn't sound like, but a friend of mine, Peter Rivera, had a band called Rare Earth, and they did Get Ready, and they were like a Motown band, back, but they were a jam band. And he told me that their songs were like 15 minutes long, and they got edited up into singles. But it's funny. I thought of that now. But Peter Rivera, yeah, he's the guy that sings "Get Ready."
Yeah.
Not the Temptations version, because Eddie Kendrick sang like the real high falsetto "Get Ready," but Peter's the one that you hear when you hear like the car commercials and stuff. Pretty cool.
Thank you for watching our videos. We always appreciate that. Remember, subscribe to our channel, comment on the videos, like them, and share them on social media. It's John Bowden from Rocky Stream Music.